Hello everyone. Today we will see the topic interface. I'll just brief it in a short with example. Interface is one of the data type of Java, as we have used classes and arrays. So we have seen in the introduction session of Java there are different data types: primitive, non-primitive, under non-primitive. There are different types like arrays, classes, and interfaces. We have used classes many times, and now we will see how interfaces are good or useful in Java. Compared to C++, in Java, we have discussed that Java does not support multiple inheritance directly. So with the help of interface, indirectly kind of we can apply the multiple inheritance. It's like abstract classes only. As you are aware, the abstract classes, when you define any method as abstract in an abstract class, and that class which you inherit in another class, so it will be mandatory to override that or those methods. The syntax of interface is like this: interface space name of the interface, a pair of curly brackets, and there you write the different field and method declaration. And the sole purpose of interface is to get inherited in another interface or another class. The object cannot be instantiated for given interface. This is one example where a variable which will be final, you write final keyword or you do not write final keyword, that variable will remain final and that method will remain abstract. When you inherit this interface into another class, it will be mandatory to override both of these methods, compute and the display. How class is different from interface, that we can just quickly understand with the help of these differentiation, that the class member can be constant or they may be variable, but interface it is mandatory that variables must be constant. In class, the definition can contain the code for each of the method. That is, method can be abstracted or non-abstracted, but for interface, it is mandatory that the method must be abstracted in nature. And later it should be defined in the class which is going to implement that method. So here, another difference is the objects which we declare in class or which we initialize for class can be reused, but for interface it cannot be used to declare or instantiate an object. The class has various access specifier like public, private, protected, but the interface supports only public access specifier because its sole purpose is to get inherit in another class. The difference between interface and abstract class, it is very simple. The interface has only constants. Abstract class may have constants, may have variable. Methods in interface, implementation is not allowed. In abstract class, it may be abstract or it may be concrete. And there are so many other differences with which we can easily differentiate the abstract class and interface. Now, which keyword we should use for interface to inherit interface? Now, there are two possibilities here. You are inheriting the interface into another interface, or you are inheriting the interface into a class. And for both the situations, the different keywords must be used. Let's say I want to inherit one interface into another interface, so I will be using extends keyword as like I was using for inheriting classes. But if I want to inherit the interface into the class, in that case I will be using implements. I will be using the keyword implements. So there are two keywords that we need to differentiate and understand. When I should use keyword extends and when I should use keyword implements. Look at this example. Interface is declared as like we were declaring the class, the interface keyword with the name of interface. Then we declare, let's say, some variables, constant variables. There is another interface, blue highlighted color, and in this both of these interfaces I want to inherit into a third interface, so that I can directly inherit with the keyword extends, and both the interfaces are separated from comma. So this we cannot do for class, as multiple inheritance is not supported for classes in Java. Now when I should use keyword implements? So the final destination of all interface is class. All the interfaces, the sole purpose of their declaration or writing is to get inherited in one of the class. In this case, I will use keyword implements. Look at this example. The class name implements interface name. That means we can inherit this interface into the class with the help of keyword implements. And for inheriting one class into another class, the same keyword which we were using for inheritance, that is extends, can be used. Let us just summarize this with the diagrams. Look at this diagram. There are three classes: class A, class B, class C. You want to inherit the interface, sorry, the A is not class. You want to inherit interface A into class B. In that case, you will use keyword implements. Interface to class, implements. Then class B you want to inherit into class C. Then you will use keyword extends. See, this is one hybrid implementation. We'll be able to learn both the keywords simultaneously, extends and interface. There are classes A, B, C, and there are interfaces D and E. Class to class, extends. Interface to interface, same, extends. See this focus here. Class A, class B. A is to be inherited in B. So the declaration of B will be class B extends A. Interface D is to be inherited in interface E. So the declaration of interface E will be interface E extends D. The class B we want to inherit with A, the interface E also. Thus, the declaration of class will be class B extends A implements E. Getting it? Class B extends A implements E. Okay, and the declaration of C will be simple as like the normal inheritance. Class C extends B. Okay. Now look at this example. One interface you want to inherit in two different classes. In that case, both the situation we will use implements, because to inherit interface into the class, implements keyword we use. See this another diagram. Interface A, interface B are to be inherited into interface C, which further to be inherited into class D. So for interface to interface, extends. Interface to class, implements. Okay. Now just we'll go directly to the example, which is a lab assignment. Here we will declare an interface Q. This interface Q is written over here. That means there must be some destination class which is going to implement this Q. Usually what happens, if I want to get some work done from a third person, so the formatting and everything I can write in the form of interface, and that interface I can hand over to that person who is developing the project or program for me. With this, what will happen if the person is inheriting, that is implementing my interface, and he is not following given syntax. For example, he is not writing the parameter int x. So what will happen? Immediately you can see the error will appear. It will force this developer, this class developer, it will force this developer to write the method in same form what has been given in the interface. So in interface I have given that there must be a parameter in enqueue method. So there must be a parameter in enqueue. If he does not write in same way, error will appear. But if you write in the same way what has been given in interface, then there will be no error. Here my expectations were the class test must override enqueue and dequeue method. In which form? Enqueue must have a parameter, dequeue must return a parameter, return a variable, and in similar way it is written. Enqueue is receiving a parameter and dequeue is returning a parameter. And we know the logic of queue, how we are implementing queue, so there is no explanation I think needed for working of queue. Here in the while loop, enqueue dequeue operation is taking place. So summary of the explanation: interface is one of the data type in Java, and it is exactly opposite as that of final. That is, in interface all methods written must be overridden in the inherited in the class which is inheriting this interface. As like in final method, it will restrict the inheriting, or it will restrict the overriding of those methods. So in short summary is, if we want that some particular method must be overridden, then we write them in one of the interface, and then we give it to the class which inherited with the help of keyword implements. And lastly, the differentiation between implements and extends keyword should be understood. When we are going to use extends, when we are inheriting one interface into another interface, or when we are inheriting one class into another class, same entities. But when there is a cross entity, that is, you are inheriting an interface into a class, then implements must be used. Extends, implements, same entity, extends, different entity, implements. And this cross is valid only for interface to class, as logically you cannot inherit a class into an interface. Okay. Thank you very much for listening patiently.